Good morning. I am the Reverend Danielle DiBona, and it is a pleasure to be back with you folks this year. I always look forward to this invitation, so thank you so much. Our chalice lighting today is called A Lifelong Sharing. Love cannot remain by itself. It has no meaning. Love has to be put into action, and that action is service. Whatever form we are, able or disabled, rich or poor, it is not how much we do, but how much love we put into the doing. A lifelong of sharing of love with others. And those words are from Mother Teresa. I invite you to stand as you are willing and able and join in singing hymn number 361. Enter, rejoice, and come in. And please stay standing for our affirmation. And our affirmation today is number 471. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. Please be seated. Are there any announcements to be made this morning? If you have an announcement, please see Richard with the mic.
We had trouble with people from the Greek church parking our lot this morning. So I went out and put notices on every car, which may include your car, because I didn't know whose car. But I put a notice saying, parking Sunday mornings to the Unitarian Church only. So if this happens to your car, just,
don't you need to translate that into Greek?
Entertain halagas. Entertain halagas constantly. At the beginning was the word. Of course, the Miracles program continues Friday from 9 to 1, 9 to 11, 9 to 10. And the leaders are Donald Cokie, who is our master of ceremonies, Reverend Richard Trudeau, Dave Hott, and now Abujo, Andrea Lawrence Fry, and somewhere around Boston.
Any other announcements this morning? Yes, over there.
Yeah, we've updated on the United Faith Action. We're beginning our listening sessions, so we'll be canvassing group here soon. We haven't got plans in place yet. We just did a radio broadcast with Representative Sylvia, where we're attending a lot of the events. The mayor's speech is a State of the City speech. There seems to be some movement in the areas that we've been working on recently, and we're looking forward to hearing what the community says is its priorities in the upcoming year. It's election cycle, so the politicians are much more receptive to hearing from us, whether they accomplish anything to hold us. And we have some, actually we have some new ideas here, so we're welcome to it. So thanks.
Thank you.
This is called the prayer, and you may have heard one prayer of Shelley, Sabine, Because your grace, I ask your name. Give us faith so
Thank you. That was really beautiful. The reading this morning was written by the Reverend Dr. Paul G. Hull, the Evangelical UU. He says, one of the greatest services that you could do for someone is to invite them into this community of caring and hope, of acceptance and love, of seeking and compassion. People are waiting to hear our Unitarian Universalist message of faith grounded in a belief that the final authority in religious matters rests in each person's engagement with life, and that engagement moves your soul to rejoice. People are waiting to hear of a faith that affirms in each person's core of cores, everyone holds love divine that will not let you go. This is the good news, the spirit of a free faith that we are called to shout about. This is the time during our service that you are welcome to share your joys and sorrows with this community who holds you in love.
it's just a general concern for those who are homeless, and there's plenty of them. They live in the woods around here. They live in the Bedford, in the woods. The cities are always trying to clean them up and get them out. But you come back.
Friday night, the doors at the Bridgewater UU Church got thrown open. The male bonding band played at it was a St. Patrick's Day lasagna dinner. So covered a lot of ground. Yeah, so we got the Irish, we got it all. And we had one scheduled exactly 3 years ago that got canceled with the beginning of COVID. So the doors got flung open and we had a bunch of people there, and we didn't have any green beer, but we had some other sorts of beer and lots of food and played some songs and lots of people there. So it was a lot of fun.
I have a great joy this week, and I'm so excited. Yesterday, I finally got my glasses fixed and repaired. I got my glasses. Nassau paid for them. But when I broke them, they said they wouldn't be able to repair them. So I just happened to be in Walmart, and I saw the plate to the glass. I asked the lady, I said, hey, how much would it cost me to fix these? She said, no problem, I'll take care of it. And I said, really? So I sat down, and she came out, cleaned up the glasses, fixed my bridge, put them in. I'm like, wow, I can see clearly now. My glasses are on. So I sang around the store, and I went, I can see clearly now, my glasses are on. And the ladies and everybody in the Walmart were looking at me, and I was like, so excited. Yeah, woohoo, I got glasses, yeah.
Okay. I understand how that feels because without my glasses, I can't find my way to where you're sitting. So I certainly understand that. Let us hold in prayer and memory and meditation those joys and sorrows that we heard today. Let us keep in prayer especially those who are homeless, living around town and being forced away from their only place to be by the town. Let us keep them in our prayers. My reading today comes from the Old Testament. It's Micah chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. And this is our prayer. With what shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before God on high? Shall I come before God with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. Micah 6, 6 through 8. Let us sing together. Hymn number 346. Come sing a song with me. Please stand as you are willing and able. So I was really excited to see in the information I was getting from your church, including a prelude of this order of worship, so I can fill it in, the fact that you've had 6 new people join the church. That's amazing, especially in a small community like this. I only am here about once a year, so I'd love to know who's new. You're new. You folks are new and new and new and new. And you're all here. Doesn't always happen that way. So knowing that you have all these new people, I am now going to talk to you about throwing open the doors to welcome more people in from the community. One of the things that I've noticed when I come here to Fall River is how much stuff is out front of your church. And in so many UU churches, they sit away from the community, sometimes out in the suburbs, sometimes up on the hill in the town green. But you folks are right here on the street. And I don't see many churches like that, and I love it. You're also very wide open with all of your windows. And people live around here. So one of the things I asked last time I was here was, do you folks know your neighbors? And some of you folks were a little wishy-washy. Well, yeah, maybe, not really, I don't know. So I know that you are a loving community. I've been here often enough. You're a welcoming community. You should be proud of the work that you do in this church and in the community. And I hope that you are. I believe that you are brave and willing to take risks. Because we are Unitarian Universalists. And we are committed to love, to compassion, to opening our doors to all who need to be here, to caring for the people outside of this place, and to share the good news of Unitarian Universalism, which is that all are welcome and all are loved. That is our good heritage. That is what we have learned as we become UUs or as we are born into the faith. It's one of the first lessons that we are taught. We also have a long history, especially in New England, of Unitarian and Universalists and Unitarian Universalists. History that teaches us things like Unitarians are the cream of the crop, the best educated, the least of needing God. Universalists, well, they kind of get off the hook because they believe we are all loved by God. So we're okay with them in the 1800s. But when you look at what we were in the 1800s in Massachusetts, we were elitist, and it was not easy for the regular folk, someone like me, to become Unitarian. Because, well, for one thing, we didn't have the fancy clothes, and believe it or not, there is a story about that, which may or may not be true. So let's honor our old history and live in our new being. This is a congregation that does that better than many where I preach. This is an opportunity to ask the questions. What is God for those people who are outside on the street? What is holy? Where is the picture? Where is their place in the big picture? There are people outside these doors who want to know those things and who need a community where they can ask those kinds of questions. And some of us have been blessed to find a place of welcome. This is a place where we encourage spiritual growth and learning. We stress that faith development, understanding what is true for you in your spiritual life, is something to celebrate and to work on throughout our lives. And there are those people who are yearning for that also, to permission to grow their spiritual souls. We are proud that we welcome all who come through these doors, and yet, look around, we pretty much all look the same. Where are those who wish for a more liberal faith tradition than that in which they were raised? Where are our companions of a different ethnicity, a different race, a different educational level, a different class? And for most of our UU churches, where are they who have not yet earned their gray hairs and come in with young excitement, ready to take on the world, and with children on their hands? I have preached in many Unitarian Universalist churches all over the country. And one of the most mind-blowing things that I notice over and over again is that although many of these congregations sit in town, they are often on top of a hill somewhere, as I said earlier, not in the community. Most of our churches have beautiful front doors leading into the sanctuary. And always, these doors are closed to the outside world, making it impossible for our neighbors to see and hear our good news. Always, these doors are closed to the glory of the neighborhoods and the people who live in them. Always, these doors are closing us into a cocoon of safety and self-congratulations that we are on the inside. We are, as they said in Boston in the 1800s, the chosen people. We got the memo, and we evolved into good, rational, thoughtful Unitarian Universalists. Well, my friends, times are a-changing. It is way past time to throw open these doors. Are you ready to literally throw open the doors at the front of your church and let out our Unitarian Universalist message of love, compassion, acceptance, and to let in the fresh air of the sunlight of possibility, new ideas, and new life? Are you ready? I already can hear the complaints. There's one of them. What is your name, doorstopper? Eric, okay. Now I know that for most UUs, this seems impractical, so darn impractical. You know, maybe the Methodists might do it, possibly the Congregationalists, but we are very practical people. We're letting the heat out the door. What would it be like to take a step into the unknown without a preconceived idea of what that would be like? What would it feel like to hear and see the new, the different, the noise, the traffic, instead of a normal reaction of dis-ease with a deep breath and a willingness to be open to the possible? Throwing open the doors of our hearts, minds, and souls is the first step to throwing open the door of our sanctuary. Come on in, Eric. This, my friends, is spiritual work, soul work, the kind of work that shapes us into the people we dream of being. This, my friends, is work of trust and work of faith. Faith that throwing open the doors to our hearts, our souls, and our sanctuary will bless us in ways that we cannot possibly imagine. Yes, I know it's hard to hear. Yes, I know it's too cold or it's too hot. Or I can't hear from back here. Move up is my best advice. Move up. If it's too cold, sit up front where it's warmer. If it's too hot, sit up front where the fans are. If you can't hear, I forgot to put in my hearing aids this morning so that I would be one of those people. If you cannot hear, move up. These seats are not more expensive. Right? It's not the symphony, it's church. Move up. I know it's hard. I know it's hard to hear. But let us be willing to leave our comfort zone for just a short time for the good of the souls and lives of our neighbors and for good of the souls and lives of each one of us. Throw open the doors. Recently, I preached in a church not to be named later, a church on the South Shore, and I preached this sermon. But I knew that this church locks their doors on Sunday morning. Just before the service starts, they lock their doors. Sometimes it's hard to hear throw open the doors when you have fear in your heart, when you're afraid of what might be outside the doors. That takes faith. Faith in each other. Faith in the safety and love of your community, and faith in the realization that whatever and whomever comes through those doors will make your sanctuary a better place. I don't think that's Pollyanna-ish. I know for sure that if it is, you will let me know. Let's not make the mistake of thinking that throwing open the doors means our work is done. Now we must think about throwing open the doors metaphorically. What would it take to throw open the doors of our hearts and minds and souls? As I said, this is spiritual work, my friends. It's a spiritual practice. Call it what you may. I use the words spiritual practice. It's a spiritual practice to find generosity in your heart, to let go of fear that you might have in your heart, to let your mind open up to the possibility that the homeless people who sleep in town might come through this door if they were open, and might add so much to the life of this congregation. And possibly, it might be an opportunity for you to grow in generosity as you welcome people who have less than you have and offer them a sanctuary, food, clothing, help. What a miracle that would be. There is a church not far from my house. It's called Calvary Chapel. And it started in an old Kmart store. Small little congregation. Very fundamentalist, and nonetheless, a community that cares for the community at large. A community that offers help and support, food and sanctuary, care and clothing and whatever people might need. A place to sit and pray, a place to cry, a person whose shoulder is available for their tears. And a theology that would not meet our needs. And yet, every single Sunday and Wednesday night, because every single Sunday and Wednesday night, that parking lot is packed. People are walking from town to that church. Some because the theology speaks to their minds and hearts, certainly. And some because it was a place where they found home. Home. Throw open the doors and have faith and trust that our openness of heart, soul, and sanctuary will not diminish who we are as Unitarian, Universalist, liberal faith community, but bring us closer to our siblings of faith who do not even know that they belong to us. When I was 30 years old, my fiance died of leukemia. I was, as you might imagine, destroyed. And I needed to find a church that would hear me and care for me. And as being raised Catholic, I knew that was not the church for me. But I didn't know where to find a church community like this one right here, who, if on that day or that week I walked through these doors with that story, you would have taken care of me. You would have loved me into health. Well, I did not find the church that I needed that day. And a long time after, I found the Unitarian Universalist Church. I went to church with a friend. A friend invited me to church. What an idea, huh? I went to church with a friend and I found my home. I knew this was the church that I belonged in. I knew this was the community where I could grow spiritually, where I would be loved, and where I would be held. Now, you would think I would be filled with joy and pleasure and excitement, but boy, was I pissed off. I was so angry. This was in Massachusetts. This was in Weymouth, Massachusetts, where I grew up. Do you know how many churches of the Unitarian Universalist faith are near Weymouth, Massachusetts, besides the one that's in Weymouth? Quincy, Rockland, Braintree, just to name a few. But nobody knew they were there. They were holding their light under their basket so tightly that there was no room for me to come through those doors. And had I known even a little bit that there was a church called Unitarian Universalism anywhere, I would have found it that day that I needed a church. but I couldn't. Consequently, I have become a Unitarian Universalist evangelist. There's somebody out in this town right now who needs you as much as I needed you 45 years ago. Right? Right. And so I ask, I beg of you to throw open your doors to spiritual practice. Start by practicing by yourself or with each other what it means to let go of fear, what it means to let go of control. Let me say that one again. What it means to let go of control. And I'm speaking to me. I'm the choir in this case. What it means to let go of all the preconceptions you have of whatever it is that is outside this door. When you've done that, you'll be the person who invites someone like me to church. You'll be the person who will walk around this neighborhood on a nice sunny day and talk to the neighbors and find out who they are and what they are about and tell them about this church. Their lives will be enriched by your presence in those lives. But more to the point is your life will be enriched in ways that you cannot possibly imagine. And so, my friends, throw open all the doors in your life and throw open those sanctuary doors. Some spring day when it's not too hot and it's not too cold, throw them open. Eric, you might have to stand out there and hold them open, but get some bricks or something like that. Throw open those doors inside of yourself. Throw open the doors of the sanctuary and just see what happens when you sing as vigorously as you do when someone is walking by and says, "What is that I hear?" Enter, rejoice, and come in. Come sing a song with me. One more step. Imagine, just imagine. Many blessings to you. Amen, and so may it be. This is time for you to share your generosity with this community for its good work, for its ongoing love. The morning offering will now be received. There are some congregations that when I preach there, after they sing the first hymn poorly, I invite them to sing the next one with some gusto and love and joy. And if they don't, I tell them they're going to have to sing it again. You're not like that. I am amazed about how much music comes out of you people. You clearly love to sing and you have joy in your heart. So I'm not going to ask you to sing this twice, but I will ask you to sing it once. Hymn number 168, One More Step. Please stand as you are willing and able. Please be seated. Let us go out into the world singing. Let us go out into the world singing songs that proclaim liberty, songs that turn ashes to garlands, songs that bind up the afflicted and those who mourn, songs that like oaks have roots that go deep and stand strong. Let us go out into the world singing. We know these songs. They vibrate through time in our very souls. They are the songs that give us life. They are the songs that give us meaning. They are the songs that give us purpose. Now it is our turn to take these life-giving songs out into the world. Let us go now, singing these songs with voices deep and strong. And may the world join us in praise and in celebration and in love. Amen. Go in peace. Change the world.
Oh